Are you having trouble deciding whether to choose Time4Learning or Miacademy for your online homeschooling program? If so, I've got you covered. In this video, we're going to review both Time4Learning and Miacademy in detail, so you can decide which of these programs would be a better fit for your family. I'll go over everything with you, including lesson samples from elementary, middle, and high school. We'll talk about the curriculum, the parent dashboards, how to set up your students' courses and schedule, and absolutely everything that you ever wanted to know about these programs. And if you'd like something to take notes with so you can compare the two programs as we go, make sure to download my free homeschool programs comparison chart. You can find the link down below in the video description. Okay, let's start with the basics. Both Time4Learning and Miacademy are online homeschooling programs designed for kids in kindergarten through 12th grade, although Time4Learning also includes preschool. Both programs are considered homeschooling programs and not schools. So that means that they are more like a curriculum that just happens to be online. Your child will not receive a diploma from either of these programs upon graduation. Instead, you as the parent would issue your child's diploma and transcripts, which is totally fine and is what most homeschooling families do, so don't worry. However, if you're interested, both programs do offer online school options. For Time4Learning, their online school option is called Brightspire, and it is available for middle and high school students. Miacademy also offers an online school option for kids in grades 7 through 12 called MiaPrep. Miacademy also refers to their high school version of the program as MiaPrep though, so that can be a little confusing. MiaPrep, the online homeschooling program, is not exactly the same thing as MiaPrep, the online school. The curriculum is the same, but you will be paying quite a bit more for the online school option. For the purposes of this video, we will be referring to the homeschool option when we talk about MiaPrep. And before we dive in, I also want to mention that both of these programs are browser-based, which means that there is no app to download. You just log in through a web browser. Okay, so now why don't we take a look at each program and see some lesson samples. Then we'll look at what you can do as the parent for both programs. So we'll start with Time4Learning. So here is the student dashboard, and we're starting with a sample from 2nd grade. So there are 4 courses I have set up here: language arts, math, science, and social studies. While you do get to pick up to 7 courses when you sign up, most of the electives are for middle and high school, so I just added the core courses. So a child could pick any of these to get started, or if you set up a custom plan, then they could go to My Plan. With both Time4Learning and Miacademy, the courses are fully customizable. So you can remove certain lessons or quizzes or anything you want. Or you can just have your child start with the first lesson and follow along. I will show you later in the video how to customize things for both programs. For now, let's just pick a subject so we can look at a lesson together. How about language arts? All of the chapters are laid out on the left of the screen. You can see there are 13 chapters here. So your child could just start here with the first lesson of chapter 1, but you can also skip around. So just something to keep in mind. There isn't anything to stop them from picking a lesson from chapter 6, for example. So let's look at a lesson together now. Most of the lessons in this grade are going to start with a little video to watch. There's also usually a video transcript here if you need it.
That just means telling how 2 texts are alike and different. Think about it. How do you choose whether to play soccer or basketball? Maybe you decide by thinking about the ways the 2 games are alike and different. For example, they are alike because they both use a ball. They are different because one sport is played on a field and the other is played on a court. Just like you can compare and contrast 2 sports, you can also compare and contrast 2 texts. You find ways the texts are alike and different. Ready for a learning goal? Today you'll learn to tell how two texts are alike and different. All right, let's get to it.
So kids would watch the video, and then after the video, there will be an activity to do. Kids cannot skip through the videos, and the activity will not show as complete until they finish the video. However, they could just go right to the activity and not watch the video at all, but you will be able to tell that they didn't watch it. Also, some of the videos are going to have questions to answer within the video, but it really depends on the lesson. For this subject, it looks like many of the lessons are going to include a video, supported practice, independent practice, and a quiz. And kids are just going to follow along and do as much as they want each day, although you can set learning goals or create a custom schedule for them. Let's take a quick look at one more subject now for second grade, and then we'll switch over to Miacademy. Okay, so let's look at a math lesson. For second grade math, they have 18 chapters. In this course, in addition to the quizzes, there are also chapter tests. Let's take a quick look at one of the video lessons now.
Help Mango make pizzas by using fractions. Choose the set of toppings that is half pepperoni. Half of the topping set is pepperoni. Choose the set of toppings that is 3/4 mushroom. To find the fraction of strawberries in this group, first find the numerator, or the top number, by counting just the strawberries. Next, find the denominator, or bottom number, by counting the total number of fruits in the whole group. 3/8 of the fruit are strawberries. Drag toppings to the pizza to show 2/3 pepperoni. Check your pizza.
Let's look at the answer together. There are 3 toppings on the pizza. 2 of them are pepperoni. So 2/3 of the toppings are pepperoni. Got that? Click the button to move on.
Some of the lessons will also include offline practice, which is really helpful. So if you see something that says offline, you would just need to print that out for your student so they can complete it. And then there will usually be a quiz to check for understanding. So your child would go through and answer the questions, and because this is a quiz, they will not be told if their answer is right or wrong. But at the end of the quiz, they will be able to see their score since it is graded in real time. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a good idea of what the elementary lessons are like on Time4Learning. Just keep in mind, I think some of these courses are getting an update soon. I do plan to have a full updated Time4Learning review out sometime this summer. So I'll have the latest versions of the courses when that video comes out. So if there are any changes in the next couple of months, I will include them in my new video. Okay, so now let's take a look at some elementary lessons on Miacademy. So here is the main student dashboard on Miacademy. As you can see, it looks very different from the Time4Learning student dashboard. It's definitely a little more busy, but don't worry, I'll explain what everything is for in this video. But first, we're going to take a look at a couple of sample lessons. So this is a sample of a second grade setup, and you can see we have language arts, math, science, and social studies. You also have the option to add music and arts, world languages, life skills, and Bible studies. And I will show you how you can do that later in this video when we get to the parent section. And just a quick note, Time4Learning does also offer world languages. It's through a separate add-on program called Time4Languages, and it is an additional cost on top of your regular subscription. So that's just something to keep in mind as we go through this comparison. So similar to Time for Learning, kids can choose any subject that they want to get started on. They can work ahead, but you can also set a custom schedule as the parent, and I will show you how to do that later as well. And I also want you to know that Miacademy has definitely had some updates since the last time that I did a full review of it. So I am hoping to be able to come out with an updated full review very soon. If that's something that you'd like to see, please comment Miacademy below and I'll make sure to get to it as soon as I can. Okay, now let's just take a look at a sample language arts lesson. So this lesson starts with a PDF to download and print, and you will notice on Miacademy that a lot of the lessons are like that. So if you like having something to print off to go along with the online learning, you might like that about this program. And then there will usually be a lesson video to watch. The videos on Miacademy also have closed captions available. And you also have the option to speed the videos up to 2 times speed if you want to. One other thing worth mentioning is that if your child navigates away from the screen, the videos will continue playing for a while. So just something to keep in mind. So let's take a look at a sample of a lesson video together now.
Nouns can name a person like a boy or girl, astronaut or firefighter, or maybe even your friend named George. Nouns can name a place like your home or an office, a playground, or a city like San Francisco. Finally, nouns can name things like a toy or a computer, a book, a flower, or a cat named Fluffy. Did you know how some nouns, like astronaut, playground, or book, begin with lowercase letters, while other nouns like George, San Francisco, and Fluffy begin with capital letters? That's because there are 2 different types of nouns: common nouns and proper nouns. Common nouns are nouns that name a general person, place, or thing, like girl, dog, or city. These nouns could refer to any girl, any dog, any city. They are not specific names. Common nouns begin with a lowercase letter, unless, of course, they're placed at the beginning of a sentence.
On Miacademy, unlike Time for Learning, you will not be able to skip the video and go right to the practice, at least not from this screen. But there is a way that kids can skip around, and I will show you that in a little bit. After the video, there will usually be several practice activities just like this. And you can see on the sidebar here how many you will have to complete. And then there will also be an assessment before you move on to the next lesson. The assessment will be very similar to the practice, but it will have a certain number of questions that need to be completed, and it won't offer help as you go. And just like on Time for Learning, students will get their score at the end of the assessment. Okay, now let's take a look at a different course. Since we did math with Time for Learning, let's do math here too. But don't worry, when we get to middle school, I'll pick something different. So here is a math lesson. As you can see, this lesson also starts with a PDF that you need to print out for some offline work. And then there will be a video to watch. Let's see a sample together.
Our quest today is to find the value of this base 10 block. Whoa. This block is not like the ones, tens, or even the hundreds blocks we've used before. This one is even bigger. What do you think it could be? Maybe if we use what we already know about ones, tens, and hundreds, we can represent greater numbers and get closer to uncovering the value of this mystery block. Let's give it a try. To solve our last quest, we used expanded form. I think that'll be helpful for us today too. Remember, when we represent a number in expanded form, we decompose or break a number apart according to its place value. For example, in the number 120, there are 3 digits, which means we can break the number into 3 parts: ones, tens, and hundreds. How many hundreds do we have? 1. But our value isn't just 1. What does this digit represent? Right, 100. How many 10s do we have? 2. Is that our value? Not quite. 2 10s represents 20, so 20 is the value of this number. How about ones? Ones are pretty simple. The value will always be the same as the digit in the ones place. Here, we have 0 ones.
And just like we saw with language arts, after the video will be a series of practice exercises. And after that, there will be an assessment before students move on to the next lesson. Now, I know there is a lot more for me to show you on this platform, but first, let's switch back over to Time4Learning and see a sample from their middle school curriculum. So let's pick 2 more lessons to do. I'll try to change it up this time, so we'll take a look at science and social studies. I know you probably want to see more, and I am coming out with an updated Time4Learning video in the next couple of months, so comment down below which grade levels and subjects you'd like to see so I can include them in that video. Okay, so here is a science lesson from the Earth and Space Science course. These courses are going to look very different from the elementary school courses because they are much newer. Instead of always leading with a video, there might be an activity to complete to start things off. There will also be write-in answers instead of just multiple choice, and these are graded by the system. There might also be printouts to go along with the lessons, and you will know when you see the resource button under any of the activities. And I also want to point out a couple of things about the videos on Time4Learning. Just like on Miacademy, the videos do have closed captions available, and there is also a transcript if you need it. One thing to note though is that unlike Miacademy, you are not able to speed the videos up past 1 times speed. You can slow them down, but not speed them up. And on these newer middle and high school videos, if your child navigates away from the screen, the video will stop playing. So they do need to stay on the screen to watch the video. And now let's take a quick look at one of the videos together.
Mission log update. We've been observing Earth's surface and we've noticed something puzzling. Actually, a lot of things about this planet are puzzling, but let's just focus on one thing at a time. We were scanning the surface when we spotted something truly bizarre. Let's take a look at what's happening. We captured both of these images on the same day.
Now, what do you notice about these 2 places?
Look closely. What clues do you see about the temperature in each location?
Maybe you notice the people in one location are bundled up in heavy coats, while the other, they're wearing shorts and sunglasses.
Or maybe you saw the ground. One side is covered in snow, while the other has bright sunlight and green grass. But why would 2 places on the same planet have such different conditions at the same time?
Take a look at this video we recorded.
Did you notice any changes? What's happening over time?
Did you notice the snow slowly disappears? Trees regain their leaves and people trade their coats for lighter clothes? Me too. It's so strange. What do you think is going on?
I have a theory, but before I jump to conclusions, we need to investigate. Let's try an experiment.
I like how sometimes questions will pop up during the videos. And there will be different types of activities now, so it's not just watch this video, answer these multiple choice questions. There is a mix of different activities to change things up. And then, of course, at the end of each lesson, there will be a quiz to check for understanding. These quizzes are going to also have write-in responses, which definitely makes them more challenging. And because of the write-in responses, it takes a little longer to grade these, so you don't get your grade right away. But once they are graded, you can go back and review your quiz, and you can see the feedback for the write-in responses. So you can't just type any random thing and get a good score, as you can see here. Okay, let's look at a social studies lesson now. These are going to be similar to the science lessons, where there will be an activity to start off each lesson. There will also be offline resources to print for some of the activities. And of course, there will be a video to watch. So let's watch a bit of one of the videos together now.
Hey everyone, today what is that? Who are you?
Well, I'm Alexander the Great, of course. When you opened that time portal, I stowed away in your luggage. I mean, you're a history professor. Don't you recognize that I'm Alexander the Great?
Well, you look a little different.
What do you mean, different? Oh, goodness. What happened to my beautiful flesh? The time portal must have aged me thousands of years. Oh, man. How devastating. How horrifying.
You look kind of horrifying. Well, while you're here, do you want to teach the next lesson? No one knows more about history than you do. You've traveled a really long time.
You know what? Wait right there. Hello, everyone. Let's dive into the fascinating world of ancient civilizations. Today, we're going to explore how major river systems shaped the lives of people in Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Kush. Imagine life alongside a river. So much water just waiting to help you out. It's like a delivery service, available to bring you everything you need, right to your doorstep. How do you think rivers would change your daily life? Let's start with the Nile River, which flows through Egypt. This river is unique because it floods every year, usually around the same time, depositing nutrient-rich silt onto the land. That's like nature's own fertilizer. Imagine waiting for the Nile to flood, then planting your seeds in that fresh soil. Thanks to this predictable flooding, the Egyptians became great farmers and could grow enough food to support a thriving civilization.
Also included in the lesson are several different types of activities to complete, including a quiz at the end of the lesson to check for understanding. Okay, let's switch back over to Miacademy to see what their middle school lessons are like. Let's start with science. And just like before, the lessons will start with a PDF to print out and complete. And then there will be a video to watch. So let's watch a clip of one of the videos together now.
Welcome, fellow scientists. Bee here. I hope you've got your running shoes on because today we're exploring science in action. Scientists, they all wear white lab coats, peek through microscopes, and work in labs, right? Think again. While it's true that some scientists work in labs using high-tech equipment like microscopes, many other scientists work in the field, in many different locations, exploring and investigating various branches of science. As we learned in our previous lesson, Think Like a Scientist, regardless of the branch of science, all scientists share a collective skill. Can you recall what that is? Bullseye! All scientists think like scientists using their 5 senses to ask and answer questions. Nice work! Your studying really paid off. Today, we're going to build on the idea of thinking like a scientist by exploring what scientific thinking looks like in action. Now, you're probably thinking, B, what in the world does science in action mean? Here's a hint. You're already a shining example of science in action if you've ever washed your hands with soap, charged an electronic device, observed an insect, cared for a garden, cooked a yummy meal, used a telescope to explore the night sky. The list goes on and on. Does science ever rest?
After the video, there will be several levels of practice questions. These will be all multiple choice as well, although there is a setting I will show you where you can allow for free input questions. I'm not sure which courses or lessons will be affected though. And there will then be a quiz at the end of the lesson, and this quiz will be just like the quizzes we saw for the elementary lessons. Now let's look at a social studies lesson. The lesson will start with a PDF activity to print out and complete. Then there will be a video to watch. Let's watch a clip of the video together now.
Our objectives today are to identify and describe the traits of cultural hearths, Explain how geography contributed to the development of cultural hearts. And describe the impact of cultural hearts. Are you ready, historians? So, what exactly is a cultural hearth? You probably have an idea of what culture is. Simply put, culture is a way of life for a group of people. But what is a hearth? In the past, a hearth was the place in a home where a fire was usually kept for heating and cooking. It could be a fireplace or maybe an oven or a stove. For centuries, the hearth was usually a home's central and most important feature. Even today, everything within the home that is important to the family often emanates from the hearth. Discussions, traditions, values, love. You might say it's where a family develops and flourishes. So, what do you think a cultural hearth is? You're on the right track. A cultural hearth is a region where early civilizations developed and flourished.
As we've already seen, the video will be followed by several levels of practice questions to answer, and an assessment at the end before moving on to the next lesson. Now, I know there is a lot more that we need to cover for both programs, but first, let's just take a quick look at some of the high school courses. We'll start with Time for Learning. So here is the same student dashboard, and why don't we start by looking at language arts. The high school courses on Time for Learning are going to be similar to the middle school courses that we just looked at. There will be different types of activities rather than just a video and practice problems. Usually there will be a sort of warm-up activity before the video. And now let's take a look at one of the videos.
In the last lesson, we learned about the hallmarks of American Gothic literature. But in this lesson, we're going to apply that knowledge to some real pieces of literature and see how these elements all work together. Let's go. Charles Brogden Brown is known as the father of the American novel because he created and established the literary tradition of American novelists. He also set the template for Gothic authors to come and inspired Edgar Allan Poe and Nathaniel Hawthorne to adapt their works. His first novel, Wieland, is about spontaneous combustion, religion, insanity, supernatural misunderstandings, murder, and ventriloquism. Let's take a look at the first paragraph now. I feel little reluctance in complying with your request. You know not fully the cause of my sorrows. You are a stranger to the depth of my distress. Hence, your efforts at consolation must necessarily fail. Yet, the tale that I am going to tell is not intended as a claim upon your sympathy. In the midst of my despair, I do not disdain to contribute what little I can to the benefit of mankind. I acknowledge your right to be informed of the events that have lately happened in my family. Make what use of the tale you shall think proper. If it be communicated to the world, it will inculcate the duty of avoiding deceit. It will exemplify the force of early impressions and show the immeasurable evils that flow from an erroneous or imperfect discipline. Here, the character in the novel is speaking directly to the reader and sets up the novel's style. Notice the word choice. Specific words like sorrows, distresses, disdain, and inoculate. While the speaker does not tell us yet what has happened, we already know this to be a tragic tale, as they state that we know not fully the cause of my sorrows.
The lessons at this level are pretty long and include a lot of different activities. There might be more than one video, some multiple choice quizzes, and a writing activity. And at the end of each lesson, there will be a quiz, which may be multiple choice or it may include write-in responses. Now let's look at a math lesson from the Algebra 2 course. There will usually be a lesson overview and then a warm-up activity to complete. There may also be a resource to print out, and then there will be a video to watch. So let's watch a little bit of this video together now.
All right, in this lesson, we're moving on to polynomials. We've seen polynomials before, but sometimes we add more terms to them and we can have higher degrees. So let's look at how we use polynomials in operations like addition and subtraction. What are like terms? We've talked about like terms before. Like terms are constants, right? Just plain numbers, they're like. So in this case, 10 and 2. We have variables, and in order for a variable to be a like term, it has to have the same degree. So in this case, this 2x and this negative 4x have the same degree. And then we have 3x cubed and 5x cubed, which have the same degree. So like terms are terms whose variables and their exponents are exactly the same, and those are the ones that we can combine. So first, I always want to do the highest degree. I'm going to do 3x cubed plus 5x cubed, which would give us 8x cubed. Cross those off. Then we're going to do 2x minus 4x. Those are the other like terms. That would give us negative 2x. Done with those. I like to cross off so I don't forget anything. And then we have 2 plus 10, which gives us 12. So that's adding various terms by combining like terms.
After the video, the lessons will follow the same pattern. You'll have some checks for understanding, practice exercises and activities, and a quiz at the end of the lesson that will be graded. So hopefully now you have an idea of how the lessons on Time for Learning work. And now before we move on to the other things that I want to show you, let's just take a look at 2 more lessons on Miacademy. And actually for high school, it is called MiaPrep. As I mentioned earlier, MiaPrep refers to both the online homeschooling program and the online school option. So just keep that in mind. For this video, we are looking at the homeschool version. And as you will see, the setup is the same as we have seen on Miacademy. So let's take a look at one of the lessons from the English course. By now, I'm sure you're getting the idea of how these courses on Miacademy are set up. So we'll just take a look at a clip from one of the videos now.
Hey carolers, Anthony here in Caroline Country, coming to you live with the latest from our favorite musician and her record-breaking world tour. Did you hear what happened at last night's concert? Caroline took her reputation as a poetic songwriter to a whole new level with the most unexpected encore performance ever. Instead of singing her own song as usual, Caroline left the audience stunned by singing a haunting rendition of one of the most beloved classic poems of all time. Up next, I'll dish out all the details as we take a look back at this awe-inspiring musical moment.
After the video, just like we saw before, you'll have a series of practice questions and then a quiz. So it's the same exact format as we saw in the other grade levels. Here's a sample from the geometry course. The setup is the same as we saw before. So let's just watch a little clip of the video now.
Hey everyone, it's Justin again. In this lesson, you're going to learn all about points, lines, and planes. These are considered the undefined terms that Euclidean geometry is built from. You may be wondering why they're called undefined terms. Well, points, lines, and planes don't have a formal definition, but they're widely accepted and used in mathematics. We're going to learn about these terms today and some others that are closely related. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify and label points, lines, and planes, and identify the interactions between them. First, we'll learn vocabulary and notation related to points, lines, and planes. That's crucial to success in this course. Then, we'll complete one big practice problem that has lots of parts to it. In your notes template, you have a table to help you organize this new vocabulary for today. Take a moment to look through that table and make sure you're ready to fill it out as you follow along with me. Our first term is point. We represent points like this on paper. But in the world, they're actually so small we can't even see them. And we can label the point with any capital letter, such as A. The notation to represent a point is simply to write the word point and then its letter right after.
Okay, now we have seen samples from both Time4Learning and Miacademy from their elementary, middle, and high school courses. So now let me show you some other things that you need to know about both programs. So let's switch back over to Time4Learning. Okay, so we're still on the student side of things. And you'll notice this layout is very simple. As we've already seen, under My Courses is where all the courses your student is enrolled in will be listed, and they can pick any course to get started. If you have created a custom plan for your child, then it would be here under My Plan. I will show you how to do that in a minute. But if you have created the plan, then they would come here and they will be able to see exactly what they need to complete each day and week. So I highly recommend creating that plan. Your child can still work ahead, but it's nice to have some idea of how many lessons they should complete each day. Under Time for Fun is where your child can play some games after they have completed a certain amount of time doing lessons each day. You can change the settings for this on the parent dashboard and allow a certain amount of time they can play per day if you want. There's nothing too involved here, just some simple typing games, brain games, action games, and a place to view and submit artwork. Some of the games are actually educational, which is nice, but it's mainly just something extra to give kids to do or a sort of reward if you set it to only unlock after they have spent a certain amount of time on their lessons. And that's really all there is for the student dashboard on Time4Learning. So now let's switch over to Miacademy. As you can see, this is much more involved. We've already seen the learning path, and you can see on the left there is a daily progress wheel. On the right, you can also see your streak progress and your rank against other students. If you click on all lessons, this is where you can go to jump around to different lessons if you want to. So it will have all of the lessons in order, and students can pick any lesson they want. This is very similar to Time4Learning. So it's kind of like the main lesson screen on Time4Learning. And if you go to this screen instead of the learning path, none of the activities or quizzes are locked. So you can skip around just like you can on Time4Learning. Similarly, the learning path on Miacademy is just like the My Plan screen on Time4Learning. Under My World on Miacademy are a whole bunch of extra things kids can do. There are games, there is a design studio, art, you can edit your avatar, and create a bio. There's a lot to do here. I won't get too deep into it because I do plan to do an updated video soon. And it really hasn't changed since the last full review video I did, so you can check that out as well if you want to see this in more detail. There is also a section where kids can message each other if they have friends on Miacademy. You can turn this off, and I'll show you how later in the video. Same with this videos section. If you do have it enabled, kids will be able to watch videos submitted by other Miacademy students. They can also upload their own videos. And under Community is the school newspaper and a community forum. Okay, so now let's take a look at the parent side of things. We'll start with Time4Learning. So here is the main screen that you will see when you log into the parent dashboard. You'll see the time your kids have spent learning this week up top here. And down below, you'll see a report for each of your students. If you click on Manage Students, this is where you can go to update the courses your child is enrolled in. You can also edit their settings to how long you want them to have to work on their lessons before they can play the games, and also how much time they get to spend playing. Under Lesson Planning and Reports is where you can make an activity plan for your students. It's also where you can view the scope and sequence for each of the courses. You would do that under Lesson Planning, so you can get down to the details of what is being taught in each grade level for each subject. If you click on Activity Planner, this is where you can create a custom plan for your child. The easiest way to do this is just to put in your start and end dates and which days of the week you want your child to learn. And then it will create a plan of how many lessons your child needs to complete each day in order to complete the curriculum by the end of the school year you set. You can also add time off for vacations. And if you click on course material, This is where you can get down to the details of which lessons you want to include and whether you want to include tests and quizzes. You can also preview the lessons and view the answer keys here. And you can even view this as a calendar and move lessons to different days if you want to. It's all really customizable, so you can set up your child's learning plan however you want to. If this is all too complicated, just choosing the start and end dates for your school year should be enough. And I will go into this in more detail in my upcoming full review video of the Time4Learning platform. And if that's not out yet, my most recent full review video should still be helpful for this. Under Reports, you can generate custom reports that you can save or print. So you'll be able to access and print these reports for your kids whenever you want to. And finally, under Account and Billing is where you would go to update your billing info or cancel your subscription. Okay, now let's take a look at the parent dashboard for Miacademy. So the first tab here has some settings you can adjust. This is where you can change your child's access to community features, set email preferences, set access permissions for your child, enable or disable the read aloud option, and enable or disable the videos page. This is also where you would go to make changes to your subscription. On the curriculum page is where you can make changes to the courses you have assigned for your child, and also assign new courses like world languages and life skills. Over on the left is where you can view the scope and sequence of the courses. And if you want to adjust your child's schedule, you can do that here too. You can change the days of the week that they work on each course. You can also edit the dates as to when the courses should be completed by. And if you click on Course Settings, you can make some changes such as allowing for free input questions and setting the minimum passing grade for assessments. There is a lot more detail of what you can do here, but I do go over this in my full review video of Miacademy. And I do plan to do an update soon. But just check out my full review videos if you want to see anything in more detail. On the Attendance tab, you can view your child's time spent learning on Miacademy, and you can also print an attendance report. And under the Reports tab, you can create grade reports for all of the courses your child is enrolled in. You can also view their current progress and grade for each course under the Gradebook tab. And under Settings, you can make some additional changes to your account. Okay, so now that we have covered all of that, there is one more important thing that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the price. We'll start with Time4Learning, and their pricing is very simple. It is $39.95 a month, no matter which grade level you choose. So that's really very simple and easy to understand. You can save 30% off by purchasing a full year up front if you're sure this is something you're going to keep using. And you will also get a discount for multiple students. And if you want to save even more, use my link in the video description so you can get $10 off either your first month or your first year of Time4Learning. Miacademy's pricing is a little more complicated. For their kindergarten through 8th grade program, it's $48 a month per student, although you can try it out for your first month for $1.99. You can also purchase a yearly, lifetime, or family lifetime membership. These memberships are often on sale, so I would definitely check back if you want to purchase a membership like this and make sure you're getting a good deal. For example, the current promotion they're running will save you quite a bit of money. For their high school curriculum on MiaPrep, the cost is $54 a month for one student, and you can try it out for the first month for $9.95. They also offer a yearly or lifetime plan. And same thing here, check to see what kind of sale they're running because they usually have one like this. Okay, so now that I think we have covered everything, let's just talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each program. But I'll be honest, they really are so similar. So I think it's mostly going to come down to which video style you like better, because that is where your student is going to be spending a lot of their time. So hopefully the samples that I showed here can help you make a decision about which you like better. It's really just a personal preference. But here are some additional pros and cons that you might want to consider. We'll start with the pros and cons for Time4Learning. One big pro is the price. At $39.95 a month, no matter which grade level, it is a little more affordable than Miacademy, especially if you have more than one student. And if you commit to a full year up front, you can save even more. Another pro is how clean and simple the platform is. There isn't a lot of extra stuff to navigate around, which a lot of parents and kids really appreciate. It's easy to log in and get right to work without a lot of distractions. And one more pro is the activity planner. You can set your school year start and end dates, add in time for any vacations you have planned, and it will map out exactly how many lessons your child needs to do each day so that they can stay on track. So it takes a lot of the planning work off your plate. And now for the cons. One downside is the elementary lessons can seem a little bit outdated compared to the newer lessons that they have for middle and high school. Another con is that there isn't much for kids to explore outside of their lessons. The time for fun section is there, but it is pretty basic. If your child needs a lot of engagement and motivation to keep going, then they might find this platform a little bit plain. Okay, now let's talk about the pros and cons for Miacademy. One of the biggest pros is how engaging the platform is for kids. Between designing your avatar, the My World section, the community features, the videos, there's just a lot to keep kids engaged and motivated. Another pro is the offline component. Most of the lessons do have that PDF to print out, so it's nice to have some offline work to go along with the online video lessons. And one more pro is the variety of subjects available. Miacademy covers some additional courses included with their subscription that Time4Learning doesn't have, such as music and art, Bible, and life skills. And while Time4Learning does have that add-on program, Time for Languages, where your kids can get a foreign language program, Miacademy has foreign language courses included with your subscription. Now for the cons. First, the price is a bit higher, especially for high school. And the pricing structure is a little more complicated, especially with those different sales that they run throughout the year. So it can take some work to make sure you're getting the best deal for your family. Another con is that the practice exercises can feel a bit repetitive. As you saw in the samples I showed you, the format is pretty much the same across every lesson and every grade level. If your child needs more variety to stay engaged, Time4Learning does a better job of mixing up the activities so it's not all just the same pattern over and over again. And the other con worth mentioning is that the platform can feel a little overwhelming at first, especially for younger kids. There's just a lot more going on, and it could take some time for your kids to get used to navigating everything. And also, some of those extra things could be a little bit distracting and take time away from working on the actual lessons. I really hope this video helped you decide whether Time4Learning or Miacademy would be a better fit for your family. Or maybe you decided that you don't really like either one. That's okay, I have plenty of other videos on my channel reviewing all sorts of other programs, so hopefully you will find something that is just right for your family. You may even find that your kids would be better off doing offline work in workbooks. Or you may want to look into an online school option. Either way, I've got you covered. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I will be happy to answer. And if you do decide to try Time4Learning, don't forget to use my link in the video description so you can save an additional $10 off. And don't forget to download my free homeschool programs comparison chart so you can keep track of everything that we talked about today. Thank you so much for watching.